Wait, I'm so quirky. Hey, my name is Vince, and I read sometimes. Welcome to my reading cave. Today I'm going to be doing kind of a rant review, like a read with me, so you're going to see little snippets of me talking as I read. So it's probably going to be a long video. Go ahead and get a snack, a little drink, a little sweet treat. Sit back, relax, because this is going to be a journey. Okay, have fun. So I've been reading Court of Thorns and Roses, and let me tell you, I have some things to say about this book, and not all of them are good things, and I know that a lot of people love this book. I know that a lot of people don't love this book, and I am one of the people who does not love this book. So just, if you like this book, that's great. I love that for you. Loving a book is amazing. So let's get into why I don't like it. She kills this wolf who she does believe is a fairy, and then she goes to town to sell the pelt because her and her family are really poor and starving. They used to be rich, but her dad made a bad investment, and then creditors took everything they had and stuff like that. So it's just really relatable. The fairy Tamlin, who is the love interest, comes and takes her to his manor in the spring court, and then she kind of just chills there. She hunts something called the Suriel, which is supposed to give her answers if she traps it, and it does, and it tells her that Tamlin is the High Lord of the spring court. So that's something that we didn't know before, which is kind of interesting. And then she gets hunted down by scary beasts in the woods, and Tamlin comes to save her. So also, they're kind of bonding. He's taken her to some pretty places around the manor where they're living. So the main character is 19, it says on the back of that, 19-year-old huntress Feyre. Hey, so I just have to jump in real quick while I'm editing this there was something that I forgot to say that really is one of the other things that really bugs me about this book. So the main character's name is Feyre, right? We just learned that. Tell me why I was so mad when I read that was her name. The book is about fairies. There's Fae in the book. Feyre, and as an author myself, the spelling Feyre, Sarah, you really could have done so much more with this character's name. It feels bland, it feels unimaginative, I'm not gonna lie. I guess it's a fitting name because the name is annoying as hell in a book about Fae. So those are my thoughts. Anyway, I'm refilming this on a different day because I don't know what was going on. I was just talking about how much I hated Feyre's name. Going back to her character, she is 19 years old in this book. 19. If this is a romance book between adults, I don't expect one of the main couples to have the word teen in their age. And in addition to that being creepy, the love interest is literally thousands of years old because Fae are immortal, and he will not tell her how old he actually is. Red flag. Hello? If somebody that I was dating didn't want to tell me how old they were, I'm imaginally thinking, oh, you're 32. So that's weird. Despite knowing that he's thousands of years old, Feyre's it doesn't really matter. I feel like we don't dwell long enough on the fact that the love interest Tamlin is thousands of years old. It's creepy, honestly, and because of the ginormous age gap between them and her being 19 and not 18, it feels like Sarah J. Maas was kind of just walking the thin line of pedophilia and not getting canceled. If you know what I mean, if that makes sense. Not the line between, but she's kind of skirting around the edges of that category. And honestly, it makes me uncomfortable because Feyre could have been made 22 or 25 or any other age, 30, 40, okay? Any other age that's older than 19 would have made it way less creepy. In addition, one of the servants, Alis, I think is how you say her name, in Tamlin's manor in the Spring Court, she explains that she has 2 nephews whose parents passed away, I believe, which is very sad, and she's doing everything she can to take care of them, which is sweet. She expresses how most high fae don't reach adult age until they're 75 years old. And that's like, okay, like maybe that's a little bit reasonable, at least for like an immortal being. But when you think about it, Tamlin is thousands of years old. He's way older than the regular adult age, which is 75 years. And Feyre, being a human, is not even really an adult. She's 19, so she's like 3 years old to him if they were like on the same timeline. Ugh, it's like so creepy to think about, and I know there can be an excuse of like, oh yeah, humans and fae mature and age differently, you know. Tamlin wasn't as mature as Feyre is now when he was 19 years old. It's still just so creepy, and I don't understand the decision that Sarah J. Maas made for Feyre to be 19. That's one of the huge icks that I have about this book, especially because it's supposed to be really like spicy, you know. I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm gonna skip them when I do, because like, ew, I don't want to be seeing, I don't want to be reading that. Gross. It's honestly like, ugh, like I'm not, I can't express how much I wish that Sarah J. Maas would have just made the decision to make her like 25. Just 25, girl. It's not that difficult. Also, one of the things that kind of pisses me off about Feyre, or not even Feyre as a character, because it's not technically her fault, but how the story treats it, is Feyre is mostly illiterate. Because when her family lost their wealth and fell into poverty, Feyre only learned the basics of reading and writing, and now she's at the manor. She's trying to learn how to read more and write more, so she could possibly send a letter to her father and her 2 older sisters back home in her village. The way that is treated does not make me feel comfortable. How it's handled by Tamlin is less of, let me help you because I think you deserve it and I care, I guess, and more of like teasing stupid mortal human who's like literally a child to me. She's being kind of treated like a child, I feel, by the narrative. It's not even really the character's fault, for once. That's another gripe I have with this book. I feel like it could have been handled more respectfully from Sarah J. Maas, because there's plenty of adults in the world who are illiterate and cannot write, and it's not nice to like be like teasing and like having the love interest write like dirty like poetry using the words that they don't understand and stuff. It's kind of icky, I think, is what I feel about it. Right now, they're setting up bonfires on like the hills of the Spring Court for something called Kalanmai. It's like a holiday in the fairy realm, which it's called Fire Night, which is kind of cool. I'm interested to hear the lore behind that. That's kind of where I am right now. Tamlin's like, don't like come to Kalanmai. It's dangerous. There are going to be other fairies here. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention that there is a mysterious she that Tamlin and his friend Lucian keep mentioning, and Feyre's like, who is she? Like, why is she so like scary and dangerous and like mythical? Waiting to find out who that is. I'm gonna keep reading. I'll bring you updates. Okay, hey, so my gripes with this book have not gotten any better at all. Let me just try to collect my thoughts while I figure out how I feel. I love this book. It's so good. We figured out what Kalanmai was for. And it's basically like the high lords of the courts get possessed by like this evil magic. And then like I don't really know how to put it. It's gross. It's gross. They like find the maiden in a woman and then like for the fertility of the land for the year to come. I'm not loving it. It honestly, like, why was that a necessary part of the book? That was not necessary. That freaked me out. Feyre went to the festival against the fairies' wishes. There were these other fairies from a different court that were like being really predatory towards her. And then, believe it or not, she gets saved by a new man that we haven't met before and is introduced. So I don't know if this is going to be like a love triangle. I really hope it's not. After Clan Mai, after Tamlin the High Lord finished the ritual, he came back like at 2 a.m. and Feyre was up. And she was up for like a snack or something. Then he's like, I was looking for you at the ceremony. Like, I smelled you. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. And then he like bites her. Are we for real? Are we serious? Because when I say I read that scene and I was so baffled about how popular this book is, baffled. This is the kind of thing that you're embarrassed to read. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. It's uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable. Yeah, little update. I'm halfway through the book now. Wish me luck. Okay, hey, so when we left off, I was just yapping about how concerned I was about how a bunch of people are like raving over this book, and it was really weirding me out, the one section that we just went over. I haven't had a bunch of time to read because I've been quite busy with school and rehearsal for the school's fall play, so I've only read a little bit more, but what I did get through was after the night of Clan Mai. Couple days later, Tamlin takes Feyre to another place, another pretty place under a willow, and they chill out, and then he like grants her the ability to like sense and see the rest of the magic of Prythian that she can't because she's a human. Later on, he explains there were a bunch of fairies in the manor, like servants that she hadn't seen, because he had glamoured them so she couldn't hear them or see them or like sense them. Anyway, while they're on the hill, she like falls asleep. Before she like completely drifts off, she hears Tamlin whisper in her ear, "You're exactly as I dreamed you'd be too." So if this is a fated mates trope, I'm going to burn down Sarah's house. I think that's what I'm gonna do. A lighter and a dream. Oh my gosh! Hola! I'm outside of my reading cave right now because, wait, let me show you. My reading cave is blocking my bookshelves, so I can't really get to them. But I wanted to do a little book haul because I went to Target. First, I got Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I've been really excited about this one. At first, I was kind of hesitant because I didn't really know what it was about, but now I know from like the internet and stuff that it's about lesbian vampires. So, you know, I had to get it, and this is a signed copy as well. So that's exciting. And then second, I got the deluxe edition of A Theory of Dreaming. I just love the sprayed edges. A little bit of a red flag. I have not read the first one to this book, but I hear a lot of people really like it. So I'm gonna find space for these on my shelf. New hair, new me. So I know I look like ramen noodles right now. It's for the show that I'm in. They wanted me to dye my hair before opening night, which is this Friday. So, yay! I love dress week. I love it. Remember on Fire Night when that one High Fae saved Feyre from those other 3 creepy fairies? Well, he came back to Tamlin's manor, and they were like all like beefing and stuff. We learned that his name is Rysand and that he is the High Lord of the Night Court, which is like a super scary dark and evil and powerful court. I also want to acknowledge that I know a lot of people who read this book and this series really like Rysand. At this point, I've really yet to form an opinion about him, but so far he's described as a whore, so I like him. We learned that he has a connection to this lady named Amarantha. I believe that this is the mysterious she that we've been kind of introduced to. Nothing has really happened to make me interested in the story and make me interested in reading the next books, because I am about 250 pages in and nothing has really happened, I feel, to make me excited about what's happening, and I've gotten really bored. I specifically feel like there have been lots of points that Sarah J. Maas could have introduced what I hope is going to be introduced later on, like the more forward and adventurous and fun plot with like the Blight and everything, because the Blight has been mentioned and brought up so many times, but none of it has really led anywhere, especially because Feyre is just staying at the manor, and it's just, I don't really see like why that's necessary, because nothing is really happening. I feel the story is progressing very slowly. I think that by now, if she is like the strong female main character that people praise her to be, then she would have like taken action if she really cares, and she wouldn't have just stayed in the manor being complacent to the whims of fairy men. As an author myself, I just feel like I would be so bored if I wrote this book, and I am so bored reading this book. So I am kind of disappointed about that. It's making me kind of not understand why people like this book so much. Maybe it's the type of reader that I am. I love an action-packed story with dynamic characters, and I feel like I'm not really getting any of that. On the side of the romance, they're not like officially together, Feyre and Tamlin, but she's definitely interested in him and he's definitely interested in her. They kissed a couple of times. I'm not really looking forward to this romance developing more because I just don't like either of the characters. Of Romeo and Juliet, and I'm so tired. I haven't had a bunch of time to read and like film recaps because of Dress Week. It's been so busy for me. It's like school and then right into rehearsal and then go home and get some sleep. I've read a little bit, but a lot has happened, and honestly I do have some things, good and bad things, that I need to say. So I have some notes. Where we left off, Rysand from the Night Court, he came into the manor and was like threatening everybody. The next day, Tamlin sends Feyre home, and she does oblige, again, bowing to the whims of fairy men. She goes home, and she sees that her family has gained back their wealth. So they're in a manor, you know, a mansion, almost as big as Tamlin's manor. They have beautiful things. Her sisters have really, really pretty dresses, and they don't seem to remember the bad things that have happened, you know, because Tamlin glamoured them so they wouldn't remember. Except for Feyre's eldest sister, Nesta. Nesta confronts Feyre and is like, you were in Prithian, and I know that a fairy came and took you because the glamour didn't work on me. And Feyre's like, damn, I guess all it takes to break through the glamour is an iron will. After a ball that was thrown by Feyre's father in honor of her return, by the way, they assume is from a long lost aunt in her old age. They accept Nesta believed that Feyre was summoned to care for the long-lost aunt. After the ball, Feyre hears news of another fairy attack that happened like in their village near where they lived. So she decides something is really, really wrong because Tamlin must have sent her home for a reason, and she decides to go back to the manor. So she arrives at the manor and she finds that everyone is gone and it's a big mess. Lots of things are broken. It looks like there's been a big fight. So she goes and tries to look around, and she runs into Alis. From there, something that pisses me off really happens. It's not like bad or anything. Well, it's kind of bad from a writer's standpoint. What Alis does is she proceeds to info dump to Feyre for the next 12 pages. An entire chapter of exposition of things that we could have learned in page 150 and would have made me much more invested in the story than I was 200 pages ago. Right now I'm about at page 300, and I just feel like info dumping about the backstory of a world for 12 pages is just honestly such a poor storytelling choice. As a writer myself, of course I do little paragraphs here and there of info dumping, but that's not really an info dump. You're learning more and more about the lore of the world and the traditions of the world as it goes on. So just to see Feyre know next to nothing about the world and then get it all explained to her in 12 pages it was interesting, but I was disappointed in how we learned about it. What Alis info dumps about is the war, which is just called the war, by the way. There's no other name for it. It's literally the war. Yeah, when you say the war, everybody knows what you're talking about. So basically what happens is there's a different continent called Hybern. The king of Hybern is like evil and doesn't like sharing lands with the humans. And so he sends out someone called Amarantha, and she's like, you know what, I'm gonna be evil and stuff. And so she fights for the war on the side of the fairies, and she has this sister. Her sister falls in love with a mortal soldier, but the mortal soldier betrays her and then kills her. And so that makes Amarantha really angry because she really loved her little sister. And then she's like, you know what, I'm gonna get revenge. Actually, what even happened? I freaking forgot because it was 12 pages of just... Okay, so after the two sides made the treaty, where the humans were like, okay, we're cool, and the fairies are like, okay, we're cool, kind of. Amarantha decides that she wants to take over Prythian, so she invites all the High Lords to this banquet and makes them all drink they all drink a potion that was poured into the regular drinks. That makes their magic vulnerable. So she kind of takes their magic and puts it inside herself, I guess, but I don't think she's able to access that magic. However, she's still very, very powerful regardless. Some time goes by and she was beefing with the Spring Court for a while because she was into Tamlin, and Tamlin was like, ew, I'd rather marry a mortal than ever marry you. And she's like, okay, that's crazy. After the tension between the Spring Court and her, she invites the Spring Court to the masquerade in honor of Tamlin's shape-shifting abilities. So everybody in the Spring Court's wearing a mask, right? And then that's when she puts the curse on the Spring Court and Tamlin, where their masks can't come off. I don't freaking remember how it all ties into... It's very convoluted. It's very, very, very confusing. And I feel like if we were introduced to different aspects of it at earlier times, it would be much easier to grasp. Because right now I don't know what the heck is going on with the lore. Anyway, the curse can only be broken if Tamlin finds a mortal girl with enough ice and hatred in her heart for fairies to kill one of them, and then brings her over the wall, and then she falls in love with him and says, I love you, and whatever. That's when Feyre realizes that she could have broken the curse and saved basically everyone in Prythian had she just told Tamlin that she loved him back, because he told her he loved her before he sent her off. So she's really pissed. But what ticks me off more is that Alis is really, really mad at her. She's like, stupid, foolish human. You could have broken the curse. But how was Feyre supposed to know about the curse? because they couldn't talk about the curse as like one of the conditions of the curse. So I'm just a little bit confused by that. Alis reveals to her that the part of the treaty where the humans have to repay a debt for like killing a fairy was completely made up by Tamlin, so he could get some divas over the wall and try to get them to fall in love with him, I guess. I know it's a romantasy, but as a primarily fantasy writer myself, the plot is all a lie and is based on a curse that you were supposed to end. Honestly, the whole treaty being false and just part of the curse feels cheap to me, and I might just be a hater. It might be a good plot point. I might just genuinely be a hater, and I honestly cannot tell. Because if I read another book that was better with this same plot point, would I enjoy it more? I don't really know. I don't think I would, but then again, I can't tell because I'm just a hater of this book and this series. I'm not enjoying it. One of the other things about the curse that I kind of forgot to mention was that in the search for the girl that would break the curse over the last 49 years, which was how long he was given to break the curse, he was given 49 years to break the curse until he had to be Amarantha's like lover or slave or whatever. He keeps sending out more and more of his people over the wall to try and like find a human girl who would kill a fairy, and they end up just getting killed by, like, it says huntsmen and older women. If you're immortal, why does it care if they're older? Maybe that's what Amarantha put in the curse, but that makes her a creep as well. I don't support women's wrongs, Amarantha. It's just creepy. Also, like, women can be huntsmen as well. So, because they're just talking about huntsmen, which... ew. A lot of his people have been killed on his order, so he kind of stopped that until he got more desperate towards the end of the 49 years, so he sent out Anjas and other people to go over the wall. However, something that really makes me angry about his decisions to keep sending over fairies to get killed by the humans is that he sends Feyre away before she says, I love you, right? Because he does not want to put her in danger because she broke the curse that Amarantha put on her, because she would become like a target. Even though it's said that he could protect her or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But it's just quite baffling to me that he would make that decision to save her, but doom literally the rest of the Spring Court, possibly the rest of Prythian, when he's already had a bunch of his men killed in order to find her. And I just... this plot point really ticks me off. You know, you see it again, like over and over again in romantasy books and romance books. One of the characters dooming literally everybody else because they want to save the person that they love. And I can see why this might be like swoon worthy, but as someone who's not really into romance and is more like interested in the logical side of fantasy, I don't understand how a leader who has lost so many people and who is in charge of so many people can be like, yeah, it's fine. I'll freaking doom the rest of my court as long as it means that this girl is fine. Like, you've literally known her for like 6 months, because at this point it's summer. Hey, 6 months later, Vince here. I just wanted to pop in and say that while I still stand with this point, I wanted to make it clear that I understand if the person that one of the characters is betraying the whole rest of the world for is like a sibling, or, you know, a friend who's been there for your entire life, or a spouse who's been there for you in your hardest moments and been with you for years. I definitely understand that, and I think I can respect that a lot more, because then that character actually knows the other person, you know? It's not like a whim of like, well, we're in the honeymoon phase and I feel like this is never gonna end and I love you so much. No, it's obviously a deeper kind of soul connection. I mean, I think I don't know. Dooming like possibly thousands, hundreds, thousands of people just because you want to save this one girl that you think you're in love with. It makes me roll my eyes. It makes me very, very frustrated because like all of this could have been avoided if you just if she just stayed for the 3 days you had until it was 49 years and got her to say, I love you. It's just quite baffling to me that someone who is still willing to lose so many people cannot find it within themselves or within like their logical mind to lose one person. It might hurt more, I understand that, but you'll be fine. The rest of your people will not. You will move on. The rest of your people with not. You're literally dooming them to an eternity of slavery or like death or whatever. I don't know what Amarantha has planned. I know it's not good. I'm just a little ticked off that that was the decision he made, because you think being as old as he is and being as powerful and in charge of as many people as he is, it would be not the easy decision, but the smart decision to potentially sacrifice Feyre in exchange for the freedom of his people and his freedom from the curse. That's my thoughts on it. I'm a hater of the saving the one person you love versus literally thousands of other people trope. It does not appeal to me as a kind of logical reader who doesn't swoon over romance. And men. Ew, men. Also, I wanted to mention that I feel like in this story there could have definitely been a way to do not an all or nothing or an all or this one person to save from Amarantha. There could be like, let's save everyone. Honestly, it's a testament to Sarah J. Maas's honestly kind of poor storytelling that I'm comparing this adult romantasy novel to Wings of Fire, the series up there, which is, honestly, I'm biased because it's my favorite childhood series ever, and probably still is my favorite series, but in the third arc, when Cricket is working to save Blue and the rest of the Leafwings and the Silkwings under Queen Wasp's control, she's like, yeah, I want to save Blue, and I love Blue so much, but Blue's not the only one I want to save. Blue isn't the only one I care about, because I care about so many more other people. And I think that's one of the things that makes a character so likable, is how they care about others, obviously. And maybe Tamlin's not supposed to be super likable, but he is a love interest. People are supposed to swoon over him. The main character is swooning over him, but I'm not relating to the main character in more ways than one, and that's especially one of the reasons. So I just want to say there's a good way to do the I want to save you so bad because I love you so much trope, but that's by finding a way to save everyone. Not saving these people or saving this person, but finding that middle ground and doing both. I think that that's a good aim for a lot of characters, and honestly makes for a much better plot point. And that's some direction a lot of these characters needed. I know I've harped a lot on what's specifically going on in the book right now, and I mentioned how I really disliked the 12 pages of just straight lore and info dumping, like thick paragraph after thick paragraph of Alice just talking about what happened during the war and before the treaty. But I will say that I am really, really invested in the backstory and the lore of this world, because it's honestly very, very compelling. And I'm just quite bummed that it's paired with such, in my opinion, such poor storytelling that I haven't really sunk into the world as deeply as I want to. And I know there are a lot of other books in this series and that you're going to get more immersed in the lore as you read. I just wish that was more present in the first book, because the first book in the series is what's gonna get me to want to read more. If I was more invested in this world, maybe I would want to read the other books. I don't want to read the other books right now. have not been enjoying this book up until kind of right now, and still a lot of the plot points and decisions made by the characters are really ticking me off. And also the writing, the choice of storytelling is making me angry. But I just wanted to highlight and say that it does have a really interesting backstory, lore. Not loving the story that's going on right now. I do think it is an interesting concept. I just definitely think it could have done well, and I feel like Sarah J. Maas's imagination for this specific part of the story was really good. I just don't think that it was well executed, and that really is a shame. Hey! So, you don't know this, but it's been like 6 or 7 months since I last filmed, so I apologize if I'm a bit rusty. It's been 5 freaking months since I recorded the last clip. As you can see throughout the video, I mean, my hair changed so much just through the first part of the video, but I mean, it's super long now, and it's a different color. So because it's been over 5 months since I finished reading that book, I don't have it anymore. It's not staying on my shelf. It was a library book. It would always be a library book because, baby, I'm not gonna read that again, okay? I don't care that it's been 5 months. I'm making a video essay and I have to go off only my paper-thin notes in my notes app and my memory, my very shaky memory, by the way. I'm not rereading it. Oh, you can see the beetle. That's kind of cool. Wait. Oh, okay. Where we left off, yeah, I was just talking about how poorly the info dump was written and how much I didn't like the characters and the setting and the plot, how I thought all of that was quite underdeveloped. But let's just move on with what was actually happening in the book so we can move on to what I honestly thought was the best part of the book. I kind of enjoyed the last 100 pages compared to the rest of the novel, by the way. Like, I'm gonna be grading it on a curve, so just let's keep that in mind. Yeah, by the way, I don't have a tripod. This is my first video. I don't care. You're gonna have to stare at the tree for the rest of the time that I'm filming this, and you better enjoy it because you got to see that cool beetle. So be grateful you're getting this all. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so I have Spark Notes pulled up on my iPad for the last couple chapters because I completely forgot what happened. That's not true. I didn't forget. I don't care. I don't care. After Feyre's encounter with Alis back at Tamlin's Manor, she learns all this information, she learns all this lore in the poopy 12-page info dump by Alis herself, our queen. She's like, I'm gonna go rescue them. Yeah, so she travels to the Under the Mountain area in the book, which is kind of, if the spring court is right here, and the other court that I can't remember the name of is right here, then the Under the Mountain area is, like, right up top, if that makes any sense. And there's more land above there, but I don't care. She goes to the Under the Mountain court where Amarantha is, and she gets taken prisoner, like all her friends and besties from the spring court have been. She is given the opportunity to participate in 3 trials or answer 1 riddle to save the spring court and Tamlin's life. She thinks about answering the riddle, and I thought the riddle's answer was very obvious. I thought it was love. That's not correct. I should have known. It was also probably a good guess for a Sarah J. Maas book, I'm not gonna lie. She decides to take on the 3 trials because if she decides to solve the riddle right away and she gets it incorrect, she dies, and everybody else in the spring court is trapped under Amarantha's rule forever. So she's like, okay, maybe I should lock in a little bit, use my brain a little bit. So they proceed with the first task, and she has to escape this giant human-eating worm in its worm lair, and it's honestly kind of sick. She kind of ate that. She makes a little trap at, like, one of the ends of one of its, like, little holes that kind of goes into its den out of, like, the bones of its past prey sticking up. She lures it into it. It falls face first into the spiky bones. It dies, and then she gets out of there. But she breaks her arm in the process. Yay, she won trial 1. Everybody was betting that the worm would get her. All the fairies in Amarantha's wicked, evil, greedy, wicked court. But Rysand bets that she will win. And that's something. Okay. After she's like rotting in her cell with her broken arm, it's infected, she has a fever, everything's awful, she's like throwing up blood and stuff, so that kind of sucks, sorry girl. But then Rysand comes in secretly, because he's secret and he's stealthy and he's mysterious. In return for healing her arm, Feyre agrees to spend 1 week at the night court with him every month as like a servant or whatever, which honestly, I'd kind of rather just die. No, but I understand the sacrifice that she made, and I thought it was brave. Kind of a weird request from Rysand. Like, I know fairies are all like mischievous and scheming and plotting, but I mean, if you wanted your friends to be free so bad, why wouldn't you just heal her for free? So I thought that was he's kind of an asshole for that. I'm reading Spark Notes. By the way, thank you, Spark Notes. I love you. For the second task, I'm reading this verbatim, by the way. For the second task, Feyre must successfully solve a puzzle and choose the right lever, or she and Lucian, there's some stakes, Lucian will be crushed to death. And she manages to pick the right lever by Rysand's voice in her head through kind of like the link and the bond agreement that they have through her agreement to come to the Night Kingdom for a week every month. Because of that agreement, by the way, I forgot to mention, she's gained like a webby like tattoo along her arm, which is low-key sick. Go off. Slay. But also it was non-consensual, so don't slay. Don't piss me off. She wins, so that's great. And then wait, this is where it gets good. I mean, it has been good, honestly, but now reading verbatim again. Thank you, Spark Notes. For the third task, Feyre must stab 3 fairies in the heart with ashwood daggers. So she does it to 2 of them. She does it because she's like, okay, let's free my mans up on the throne with Amarantha, who looks like he actually doesn't care about me. So what's that about? And then I'm gonna get real close for this one. They unveil the 3rd fairy on the floor, kneeling beneath Amarantha's throne. And it's Tamlin, like the real guy. So the guy on the throne next to Amarantha, who had been sitting up there the whole time, looking all haughty and like, oh, yeah, I'm a captive. You better save me, girl. He wasn't actually Tamlin. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Amarantha was like super in love with Tamlin, so like she wants him bad, which, why couldn't have Amarantha been an awesome evil lesbian? Please, I'm begging you, I need a lesbian to save me from ACOTAR. I need a lesbian. She's thinking about what to do. She's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, I can't do it. And then she remembers a myth that she heard, or like a story or tale that she's heard multiple times going around about Tamlin. It says, and Tamlin, like, blah, 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 with the heart of stone, a cold heart of stone. And so she's like, you know what? You're getting the ashwood dagger. So she stabs him in the heart, and his heart is stone, which, couldn't we have killed him? Couldn't we have killed him? And so it's like, whoa, she did it. She finished the trials. Woohoo! Oh my gosh. Wait, I was right. Stop it. Wait, okay, I'll tell you in a second, because I have to do this in chronological order, or else it's not going to make sense. Feyre wins the trial, but Amarantha doesn't break the curse because she's mad as hell. She didn't think Feyre could do it. I knew Feyre would do it because there's 6 or 7 more books. I'm not reading them. Oh not. You can't make me. Anyway, she gets really mad and she, like, almost beats Feyre to death, which is like, come on, Feyre, stand up. You can do better than that. But Tamlin, like, the real Tamlin, the one who was almost stabbed to death, Tamlin and Rysand are like, hey, stop. They kill Amarantha. So, yay. But in order to save Feyre's life, they have to do something a little bit crazy. So here's what they do. Feyre is turned into a high fae, thanks to the high lords that were gathered under the mountain by Amarantha. So, she's alive, and she's, like, magic and stuff. But she's Feyre the High Fae. Don't piss me off. I'm not gonna lie, I did expect this ending. Because how is she supposed to stay in the Fae world without becoming a Fae herself? But honestly, I saw that coming from a mile away. Not even a mile, just miles, girl. Kilometers. Freaking kilometers. And from there, it's kind of like, oh, yay, we get to go home. Everybody's free, so that's great. Amarantha's dead. Her rule is broken, which, honestly, I think is kind of a shame in the first book, because I know there's so many more books. There obviously has to be a new villain.
Also, the fact that the conflict, or the main conflict, was solved in, like, 100 pages. Okay, girl, whatever.
Tamlin and Feyre, High Fae Feyre, go back to the Spring Court, and they, they party it up, because, like, whatever, woo, everybody's free, yay. But before they leave the Under the Mountain, there's, like, a little teaser for, like, book 2. Rysand meets Feyre on, like, a balcony or whatever. They're looking up at the sunset. Wow, that's gorgeous, the sunrise. And Rysand turns to Feyre and is like, things aren't going to be the same. And she's like, hello, Captain Obvious, I knew that. Before Rysand leaves, he looks at Feyre with what is described as a glint of fear in his eyes, or something adjacent. Something scares him when he looks at Feyre, and then he vanishes. He goes away to the Night Court, blah, 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 whatever. And then, Feyre and Tamlin go back to Spring Court. Story ends, okay? It's done. It's over. The story's over. We got a little teaser for book 2, but nothing that I care about. I'm not gonna be reading book 2, because all that I know about book 2 is that Rysand is a little bit scared of Feyre, or something around Feyre, or something in Feyre, and then she has to go to the Night Court for a week every month. I just don't care. Personally, I just don't see that I would have any fun reading the second book, because I don't like the characters, and I know they're gonna be recurring. I just don't. I think I've explained it enough. I really did not enjoy this book. Compared to all the other fantasy books I've read, because I'm honestly really into the fantasy genre, it's kind of all I read. I've read some really great fantasy books, some of them being The Prior of the Orange Tree. I know Wings of Fire doesn't really apply because it's kind of like a kid's fantasy. It is a kid's series, but honestly, the world building in that series, in the Wings of Fire series, compared to ACOTAR, it was just on a different level. And that book is for kids. I felt like Sarah could have tried a little bit more. I know it's supposed to be like an introductory fantasy. Okay, so I just checked, and I did give A Court of Thorns and Roses 1 star on my Fable account, as well as much as a thorough roast of a written review can give on Fable, which I hardly do for books. I kind of just do like quick little snippets, especially if they're books that I really enjoy. I mean, I just throw in a witty sentence and give it my rating. But for this one, it was kind of my first actual review that I've written on a book, and it wasn't so pleasant. It does highlight some of the things that I expressed in this video. That definitely this video goes more in depth on my opinions on it, and like what I liked versus what I really didn't like. If you want to, you can go check that out. Kill me. As kind of a main overview for this book, first part, slow, boring. I don't care about the characters. You haven't made me care. I don't know what's going on in the story. I don't know enough to care. I don't like the characters enough to care. But maybe that's honestly a me issue. That could just be a me issue. And I'm ready to admit that, because I was biased coming into the book. I'm biased coming out of the book because nobody in that book came out, and I need Amarantha to be an evil, beautiful, wicked lesbian. Okay. Last 100 pages, I'm gonna say it again, I've said it multiple times, I did enjoy them for what it was. I felt like it was action-packed enough to keep me entertained while I was reading a book with characters I didn't really care about. So that was kind of the carrying factor of it for me, was that once I got to those 100 pages, I was like, okay, so it's not going to be as boring as the rest of the book was, and I'm still don't care, but I low-key want to see what happens, and I sure did see what happens, and the ending, it was predictable. It was a happy ending, so, good for them. Good for someone who wants kind of a dark-ish fairy tale with a happy ending. If you want that, go ahead. You can sure read this book. Woo. Good luck, girl. I honestly think I've yapped enough throughout the main parts of the video. I don't have to do a wrap-up. I am glad that I am done. Sometimes when I was reading it, I had like a visceral reaction to some of the lines that were said. As a young queer trans person with a whole lot of opinions on equality, oh my gosh, this sounds so weird, but I definitely don't think that this was a feminist adventure at all. I do think Feyre had some strong points, obviously, but generally her character was pretty bland. We saw some of like, oh, she likes to paint, she cared a lot about her family, she likes Tamlin, but it kind of didn't go beyond that. Her personality and character never went beyond Tamlin and the Spring Court. I understand, like, having the main focus on the romance. Obviously, it's a romantasy. There's going to be a lot of that romance. But I think it would have been really cool if she had, like, gone into town and connected with other folks of the Spring Court, even though they were, like, crazy fae. But, there had to be, like, other tamer fae of the Spring Court, like, that were like Tamlin, like Lucian, you know what I mean? Kind of those humanoid, those high fae. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe I feel delusional. No, because I feel delusional. I don't think it was a feminist tale. I didn't like Feyre. Her age and her name freaked me out, especially her age compared to Tamlin's. Oh, you're still a teenager, babe. 19 is still a teenager, by the way. Your prefrontal cortex has not developed until you're like 26. I think that's all for me. That's all from me. Thank goodness this is over. I know I've said a billion times in this video, I'm not reading the second book, but if this video does well and like somebody's like, hey, maybe you should read the second one and make another video essay on how much you hated it, maybe you'll like it more. I might take your advice because I kind of don't have any other ideas of what to do. I want to make a book channel. I want to build a community. Maybe that community will be centered around hating ACOTAR and loving gay people. Okay, I love you. I don't know you. Bye. In case you're concerned for my reading habits, I have returned back to my roots, so we're all good. Can I have a comment from you on your feelings about ACOTAR and Sarah J. Maas as an author in general? How do you feel about the novel A Court of Thorns and Roses? She's so baffled, she doesn't know what to say. Can we have a comment? Sorry, Tuke, I'm selling your feet pics.